We are at the Marlborough County Historical Museum. Today we are going to have a demonstration on how to make a live wreath for Christmas. We are joined by Janice Wyatt. She is a member of the Marlborough Historical Society board. She is a longtime resident of Marlborough County, a native of the Brownsville area. She is a businesswoman who is the driving force, along with her husband, of Rogers Creek Farm and also Red Door Flowers at Rogers Creek Farm. Over the spring and summer, you probably saw pictures of her beautiful arrangements on Facebook and Instagram. She did floral arrangements during the spring and summer, and for Christmas she has done hand-tied wreaths. So she is going to talk to us about that and show us how to make a wreath.
Yes, I'm happy to be here, Lynn. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. My love of hand-tied wreaths spans many years and decades. My mother loved having a hand-tied fresh wreath hanging on our front door, and she often would let me help her as I was a little girl. And then as I got older and learned the knack of it all, she let me handle the wreaths all to myself. And so it's always been a fun thing for me to make my wreaths. Everything is locally grown that I try to use and forage in my wreaths. I might have to buy a few elements to add to them, but I start with a grapevine wreath. This is a little funny shaped, but it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetric and round. You can fill in the funny spots, the weird spots, with whatever you're going to add to the wreath. But I do collect all of my grapevine from the woods around our house and twist them and wrap them all around together to make the wreath, the base of the wreath. So I generally start with cedar. I'm gonna have to take my gloves off. I generally start with cedar of various sizes, and I just clip what I think I'm going to use. And I really don't ever have any kind of plan on what the wreath is going to look like when I get started. I just start building it. So I try to go with nice shaped branches of the cedar that have a little bit of a curve to them, so that I can build to either side and make it symmetric. Alright, so I take my bunches of cedar and I'm going to wire them together so that they will attach to the wreath a little better and not fall off. So I just wire it as tight as I can, nice and tight. And then I use those same wire ends to attach to the wreath. And just a nice twist, nice and tight. Good thing about this wire, it doesn't come unfurled. Okay, and so we have the first side of the cedar, and don't worry, I will wire it more once we're finished. So now we'll do the other side, get that anchored. So I've got both sections of cedar attached to the wreath. Don't worry, I will do more attaching and put more wire on there so that it's in place better. And now we go for the fun stuff, the extra elements to add to the wreath. Nandina is a favorite of just about everybody, mainly because of the beautiful red berries that it produces, but also the foliage can be really pretty too. This has a lot of burgundy tones to it. I've got more down here that's even darker. Beautiful burgundy colors, and so it just really adds a nice touch to any wreath that you want to make. So I'm going to clip a little bit of this off. And see how we can use it. just a matter of playing around with it to see how you like how it lays out with the cedar. You can put it on top of the cedar or in the back of the cedar, whatever look you're going for. I love these, how they spray out the way that they do. I think they just really add a nice touch.
Now, how would you keep a wreath like this fresh throughout the season?
That's a very good question. If you hang a wreath like this indoors, it's really not going to last very long. Indoors this time of year with the heat running, the air gets very dry, and you would want to mist the greenery with a hand pump mister. Or even if you know that it's going to be raining, you could put it outside to let some rain fall on it. And that would keep it fresher than not doing that. But generally speaking, these types of wreaths really should be hung outdoors because it's cooler, they'll last a lot longer. Cedar keeps its shape and color for probably the longest of any of the greeneries. Cedar and magnolia. Magnolia keeps its green color for a nice length of time. But I do recommend spraying them with a mister. Even if they are hanging outside, spray them with a mister so that they stay fresh longer. Okay, so here's our wreath to this point. We've got Nandina and cedar in place. And now I will continue to add more. We've got beautiful holly berries. I do try to remove some of the leaves, the ouchy. They're not fun to work with. Some of the leaves in the front of the stem so that the berries can be seen a lot easier. That looks good. That one doesn't really need any clipping of leaves. Okay. Let's see what I can do here with these. I might stick them right here. That's a little much. So that'll be what we do with those pieces of holly. I'll clip those stems off a little more. And I'll get that tied onto the wreath now. I grew this amaranth back in the summer in the flower garden, and I decided to cut some of the pieces and I hung them in my attic to dry, and I'm so glad that I did because it makes a beautiful addition to my wreaths. So I'm gonna see if I can't tie this in somehow. There might be a little bit more Nandina that I tie in as well. So we'll see how this plays out. That's gonna look pretty.
Now, what about your flower arrangements for 2021? What can we expect from that?
Okay, this year, 2020, was my first year of growing flowers. So it was basically a trial year to see how things grow, to see what the response would be in the community on offering locally grown fresh cut flowers. Response has been fabulous. Thank you so much to all of you who are watching that have followed along and watched the progress of the flower farm. It's just been such a blessing to have so many of you interested in the flowers. But 2021, I have expanded the amount of flowers that I grow of each variety, and I've even brought in a few new things for the spring that are already in the ground, and they're growing and everything is looking really well. Lisianthus is one of the items that I planted beginning of November, I believe. They're doing great. They do well in cold weather. They can handle the frost, and I'm just super excited about those. They're beautiful flowers. The other item that is growing right now and was planted back in early November as well is Campanula. You can look those up if you are interested in seeing what they actually look like. The Campanula is like a cup flower, so it's cup shaped with little petals around the top of the cup, and they're just really sweet and add a nice addition of a focal flower to any bouquet. So those are coming for 2021, and several other surprises and nice elements that are coming in the garden right now. So stay tuned, follow along on my Facebook page, Red Door Flowers, and I will be making announcements on how you can get a subscription for the spring season and subscriptions for the summer season as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, so we've got the amaranth tied in, and I will anchor it further as I hand wrap or hand tie some more wire around to hold it in place and anchor it. All right, so my next step now is to put something down here in the middle. Got the center area of the wreath set up, and I am going to run more wire around it to hold everything into place, but this is our final product. Really anchoring everything with the wire. I come to the top of where the flowers or the greenery are, and I get a strand of wire started. I just tie it to the wreath. So I've got my wire attached to the wreath, and what I'm going to do now is just pass it around the wreath and over all of the elements that are on the wreath to hold it all into place. And I'm doing some adjusting as I go so that the wire doesn't show, or so that things are held on the way that I want them to be. When you've got a lot of pieces, you still want it to lay right, but you don't want it to fall off either. Get down here to this cedar and get it held in place. And as you can see, using a paddle of wire like this is the easiest way to pass it around the wreath. And I'm pulling tight as I go. All right, so here's the final product. We have amaranth, goldenrod, more amaranth, cedar, nandina berries, some holly berries, and the nandina foliage as well, and a hydrangea that I cut after it had dried on the bush. So there we have a lovely holiday wreath that can be hung at your house.